Take a minute or three to think of how cool your life would have been if your parents had planned your whole path before you were born. You wouldn't have wasted valuable time on a lot of bullshit. Well, this was the case with Serena and Venus. Their dad, Richard Williams, had them for the sole purpose of playing a game which he thought would make much fortune. Only at that time, no one wanted to listen to him. Good thing he had his wife and his kids ready to make it real. Every day they had to train at the local club in the rain or under the sun. If Richard ever wanted anything, it was to keep his daughters out of the streets, even if he had to get beaten by the street junkies for that. Not worth mentioning, but I'll say it. This mean neighbor was quite unhappy with the way Richard was making the girls work so hard. She even called the cops on him one time and pretended nothing had happened. I just wasted the last few seconds of my life talking about that lady. Back to the important people, please. Working at night as a security personnel with his wife nursing during the day, Richard knew he had much to do if his girls were ever going to be great. He had a list of tennis coaches who could help, but not many were willing to coach for free at that time. Also, the color of their skin was another hurdle to cross. With not much choice left, Richard kept hitting on different coaches in town, hoping one would accept to coach the kids. Finally, this guy Paul did, but with a condition: he could only take one. And Richard picked Venus. Venus trained with Tom every day, working on her services and stands while Serena did her training with her mom at the local courtyard. Venus, with some experience in coaching, was set to compete in the junior tennis category. Her success made her get the attention of some agents. For Richard, this wasn't the life he wanted for his kids. He wanted them to have a normal life, go to school, learn multiple languages, and not fall in the trap of some pressure-pumping agents who are just there to get money in their pockets and leave the talent as a drug addict or worse. Whenever the girls were about to deviate from Richard's plan, he had some way of putting them back on track, like almost leaving them 3 miles away from home or making them watch the legendary Cinderella movie to teach them some lesson. Raising 5 girls is literally 5 times more difficult than raising 5 champions. Okay, back to their playing career. Following King Richard Williams' the first orders, the girls couldn't play again till he said so. They could only practice, but couldn't compete at any level. A decision he hid from Rick, a coach who decided to train the girls for free and take 15% of their future deals. Well, boy, Rick pushed some buttons and the family moved right out of Compton to Florida, where the girls could train with other kids. This, of course, was part of the signed deal. As expected, the overprotective dad was beginning to appear as a hindrance to the success of the success-thirsty daughters. They wanted to play. They wanted to compete. Rick wanted them to compete, as this would bring exposure and attract beautiful deals and money. After much considerations, Richard said Venus could compete. How controversial this was. Somehow Venus was meant to play her first professional match at the Heat Bank of the West Classic with the world known at that time, Sanchez Vicario. Things were getting better. Venus received her first offer of $3 million, which she refused even after the offer was up to $4 million. Surely I say unto you, the look on Rick's face after this could make a baby cry for days. Did I say cry? Sorry, I meant laugh. Hey, Venus this, Venus that, Venus up, Venus down. Where the heck is Serena this whole time? Serena had her thing going. Matter of fact, Richard had intentionally picked Venus since the days of Paul because he knew Serena had more fire in her. One time she even signed up to compete in the junior category without her parents' knowledge, although Richard accused his wife of secretly arranging the whole deal behind his back. The day was here. Game started with much left to be said about Venus Williams, but Vicario, with much experience, used an old trick. Took a toilet excuse and left Venus waiting for long. Venus must have lost touch of her game in those minutes. She came back and won the game. Too soft. But she made a wave. For someone who grew up in the 80s, there was no second guessing the effect this had on the general Afro-American community. Venus later received a $12 million deal. As for Serena, well, I believe you know how this story actually winds up. Don't lie to me. You know it. Is this story real? I don't know. You tell me in the comments section. Don't get close to my comments if you ain't subscribed yet. Yeah, I said so. This remains Flicks and 4. We'll talk later. Peace.